Hello, dear friends, and welcome back to another broadcast. Today we find ourselves living through extraordinary times. The world is in disarray, chaotic, unstable, and teetering on the edge of crisis. You've heard the phrase, the boss has gone mad. Well, in this case, the boss is none other than Donald Trump. And he hasn't just gone mad, he's unleashed an economic storm of historic proportions. All across America, even among the typically level-headed, the verdict is unanimous. What we are witnessing is too extreme, even for Trump. And it's not just the United States feeling the tremors. Global markets are rattling like a roller coaster on the verge of derailment. Up, down, freefall, this isn't economics, it's a thrill ride through financial chaos. For days, perhaps even weeks now, stability has been a ghost. Uncertainty reigns supreme. Every word Trump utters sends shockwaves through global stock markets. One statement and entire sectors plummet. One tweet and billions vanish. Investors are dizzy, economists bewildered, and nations alarmed. We may not yet call it a world war in the traditional sense, but make no mistake, what we are witnessing is a war. A trade war, yeah, but that label no longer feels sufficient. The battlefield extends beyond tariffs and spreadsheets. This is geopolitical, this is strategic, this is personal. Trump has imposed additional tariffs on nearly every major economy, but his true target is crystal clear: China. The United States and China are now locked in a tit-for-tat game of economic retaliation. First, Trump imposed a 34% tariff on Chinese goods. China responded in kind. Trump, furious, doubled down, escalating the tariff rate to a jaw-dropping 104%. Let that number sink in, over 100% in tariffs. Trump, the self-styled economic warrior, has drawn his sword and he's swinging it wildly. His message to China is simple: don't move, don't retaliate, or else. But China isn't flinching, not even close. They struck back again, raising tariffs on US goods from 34% to 84%. It's economic brinkmanship, a high-stakes tennis match where each volley could sink markets and cost millions of jobs. While the two giants clash, the rest of the world watches in horror. Asian economies are among the first casualties. Vietnam, Cambodia, Thailand, all battered. Even staunch US allies like Japan and South Korea are panicking. They line up outside the White House, begging for exemptions, hoping to negotiate lower tariffs. Israel was the first to try. Prime Minister Netanyahu made a personal visit, hoping to reduce a 17% tariff. He left empty-handed. Inside sources say Trump might offer slightly better terms to close allies, but when it comes to China, there's no negotiation, only confrontation. Trump has openly declared that if China retaliates, he will shut down all trade talks indefinitely. And so the game continues. 104%, then 84%, back and forth, a geopolitical seesaw teetering above a pit of financial collapse. The effects were instant. Asian stock markets plunged. Tokyo's Nikkei and Hong Kong's Hang Seng each fell more than 3% in a single morning. The South Korean one hit a 16-year low. Taiwanese shares lost nearly 6% of their value in just a few hours. China's currency, the yuan, was devalued sharply, falling to its lowest point in 17 years. Analysts say this was no accident. The People's Bank of China appears to be deliberately weakening the yuan to make Chinese exports cheaper and more competitive. Even the mighty European markets felt the tremors. The FTSE in London fell 3.7%. Germany and France followed. The Bank of England issued a rare and dire warning. Trump's tariff tsunami could endanger global growth, destabilize government finances, and spark violent shocks in the global financial system. In other words, Trump has become the single biggest risk factor for the global economy. India's central bank was forced to slash interest rates. Oil prices cratered. Texas crude dropped below $60 a barrel, nearing $50, as demand forecasts were slashed amid expectations of a looming economic contraction. In the span of days, trillions of dollars have evaporated from global markets, and the bleeding hasn't stopped. Why? Because one man, Donald Trump, has chosen economic warfare as his weapon of choice. He believes he can bend China to his will. that the weight of tariffs will crush Beijing into submission. But China has just as much fight. They sell nearly $500 billion in goods to the United States annually, generating a $300 billion trade surplus. If even a third of that evaporates, it could cost them hundreds of billions. And yet, they press forward, unafraid. Their repeated counterattacks suggest a confidence that's deeply unsettling. Perhaps they know something Trump doesn't. Here's what the media rarely mentions. It's not just China that's worried. Inside the United States, panic is spreading. From Wall Street to Silicon Valley, from corporate boardrooms to union halls, the fear is the same, that Trump's war will end in economic devastation. A term is now circulating among economists and hedge fund managers, economic nuclear winter. It's a chilling metaphor for a prolonged, devastating collapse, a silent winter where economies stop growing, businesses shutter, trade collapses, and unemployment soars, a time when savings vanish, inflation runs wild, and even the wealthiest nations become shadows of themselves. This nightmare doesn't just haunt China. It terrifies American billionaires too, especially the ones who once backed Trump. Real quick, if you're enjoying the breakdown so far, tap that like button to let the algorithm know. And if you want more no-nonsense analysis like this, hit subscribe. After a week of market bloodbaths, voices of dissent are growing louder. Powerful hedge fund managers who once supported Trump now beg him to stop the madness. One billionaire, Bill Ackman, proposed a 90-day ceasefire, a timeout to negotiate with allies and adversaries alike. Without such a pause, he warns, America faces a self-inflicted depression. Elon Musk, a man with factories in both China and Europe, has joined the opposition. He posted a video referencing economist Milton Friedman, explaining how even a simple pencil relies on a global supply chain. Musk, who once bit his tongue, now openly criticizes Trump's chief trade advisor, Peter Navarro. If Musk, the entrepreneur Trump once touted as a genius, is turning against him, the tide may be shifting. Here lies the real danger. America is not a dictatorship. Decisions are not made in a vacuum. The president may sign the orders, but the machinery of government, commerce, and finance must sustain them. Trump wants Americans to tough it out for 2 years. But his gamble risks collapsing supply chains, causing shortages, triggering inflation, and derailing production. At a certain point, America's resilience may crack. And unlike China's centralized government, America is a web of institutions, companies, and interests, each with its limits. Every day the tariffs stay in place, the chances of recession increase. Every week that trade talks stall, the prospect of a global depression becomes more real. According to major banks, leading economists, and central banks across the globe, a worldwide recession is no longer a question of if, but when. This isn't a storm, it's a hurricane, and it's barreling toward us. We wish we had better news, but honesty demands truth, and the truth is this: the global economy is unraveling at the hands of a single man's obsession. The world is watching Trump. Nations are anxious, markets are bleeding, people are losing faith. And yet, amid the chaos, there remains a sliver of hope that reason will prevail, that compromise will return, and that the engine of global trade will roar back to life. But until then, buckle up, because the roller coaster isn't stopping anytime soon. Thank you for watching. Until next time, stay safe, stay informed, and keep your eyes on the storm. Thanks for sticking around until the end. If you're into deep dives like this, don't forget to like the video and subscribe for more. We've got a lot more.